Ashen Iron revealed. Guardians piloting mechs in the Plaguelands. Infiltrating a Warmind bunker in Warsat Heist, the new exotic mission. The epic raid delayed, but streaming requirements for it. You must stream, you can't hide your screen. A possible new exotic battleaxe. Rewards and much more. Welcome Guardians, let's jump right in. So Ashen Iron launches next week and Bungie is holding a developer live stream on Tuesday. If you tune in September 9th, you can also get the following emblem. Now in this video, we're going to break down the whole TWID, but here is the trailer and information about the trailer, and then we'll get into the rest of the TWID.
The Conductor's forces are rampant in the Plaguelands. We're sending you in to investigate and take action. Be ready for anything.
To the next assault point. Make every shot count, my friend. It's good to carry a gun. Better to have guns carry you.
Stay in the fight. We're almost home.
So there you have the trailer, Guardians returning to the Plaguelands. Some story content seems to pick up after the Edge of Fate. Dungeon Lairs and a exotic mission called Warsat Heist. So story-wise, this is interesting. Ikora says Maya's Vex are here. We also see Cabal with the collars around their neck, meaning that Maya has commanded them. Do these Cabal have connections to, say, renegades? Maybe the Conductor is trying to use the Cabal to achieve her next goal. But in the Plaguelands, it looks kind of the same, kind of different. It's still snowy, which is nice to see, but most of the Siva appears to be gone. I'm sure there will be some dormant areas, maybe some secrets and Easter eggs hopefully we'll uncover, but these are some of the clips and screenshots we get for now. The activity is called Reclaim, and it says Reclaim the Plaguelands. It seems we'll be going through different areas from what we can get from this video, defeating enemies, and reclaiming something for some reason. There's got to be a point to this, right? In the sky in the distance, we can see this sort of strange Vex web-looking particle effect. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but wanted to point it out near the Archon's Forge. Dungeon Lair Pinnacle Ops activities are also going to be a thing. Dungeon Lairs are certain encounters from these dungeons you can play for those pinnacle rewards. Maybe it's just the boss of Warlord's Ruin. Maybe it's the opening part of Pit of Heresy. The exotic mission is called the Warsat Heist. So this is also another big question story-wise. What is the heist, who's doing it, and are they going after Warsats or something else in this facility? Rasputin clearly had a big presence in the Plaguelands given Rise of Iron and the Siva crisis. Is there more machinery and weaponry under the surface that we have yet to see? If you've been paying attention to recent Renegades lore, we know that the Cabal have been performing several heists around the system, stealing weapons from Xur and even other locations, so might they try to enter here to do the same thing? It seems both Cabal and Vex will be the enemies. There's another event called Call to Arms. I'm not sure if this is different to Arms Week, but they don't say anything beyond that. They show off some new weapons and gear, and also will be able to pilot the Brigs in the Plaguelands. You can play a Brig right now in Heavy Metal if you want to try it out if you haven't, but it seems it'll be a part of this new activity maybe. We see 2 normal Guardians running and the 3rd one in the Brig close behind. The last shot shows us a Titan running around with this giant axe, so my question is this a new weapon type, or is this some type of artifact we pick up on the ground, sort of like an Aegis or a sword? So what do you think so far from this major Ashen Iron update trailer? To me, it doesn't look like anything too crazy. We'll have to see the story and how much content is in here, but I guess we'll figure that out next week on Tuesday. Bungie's going to have that reveal stream showing us Ashen Iron and also revealing Renegades. Here are some upcoming Portal updates. As previously announced, there's reward buffs coming September 9th. Fireteam Ops activities will have an increase in number drops. Activity timers rebalanced across the board. Conquests will be replayable, and your account's highest power will be used for reward score. Additionally, Desert Perpetual will have some changes too, weekly challenges for added power progress, improved gear tier drops, and gear attunement. They're also adding on to this with increased chance of earning prime engrams on activity completions in the Crucible. Also increased bonus focus drops from 25 to 66% in the Crucible. Bungie's bringing back a weekly featured weapon for Trials of Osiris. This will bring PvP gear to parity with the PvE experience and provide opportunities for players to focus their efforts on acquiring specific pinnacle PvP gear. More information on this will be shared in next week's TWID. Now onto Portal buffs. Bungie says they're removing some mods from match-made Portal experiences. Some would stack in ways that weren't enjoyable for most players. These are still available for mod selection when customizing your own Portal activities, but they'll be taken out for the main playlist ones. These are Grappler, Hypercritical, Oscillation, and Match Game. Bungie is creating a more consistent power reward experience for the upper power climb. From 500 to 550 power, earn an A or A+ grade to get the +1 power on your activity completion rewards. This change will also be in effect for A grades in the 400 to 500 power range when Renegades launches. With the launch of Ashen Iron, the power climb from 400 to 500 will be naturally accelerated by the power cap increasing to 550. Bungie is identifying opportunities to improve the nature of the reward experience for Fireteam Ops activities. They are rapidly aligning on the plan and will share more details in the future. What's new is reduced gameplay penalties when running out of time in Grandmaster difficulty in the Portal. These will no longer zero out revives when you hit the time limit, but they will still zero out in the conquests. And finally, another one, make tier 5 rewards easier to earn in the Portal. From 450 power onwards, Platinum or Diamond reward packages, earn a score up to 1,250,000 or more to guarantee tier 5 drops from your activity completion rewards. To confirm that you will be able to earn tier 5 rewards before launching your activity, add modifiers and increase your reward score forecast until it shows a picture of a tier 5 engram. As you go up in power, you'll be able to earn tier 5s with progressively lower grades. Example, at 500 power, you only require a B+ for tier 5s. As for rewards, there's new weapons, armor, and set bonuses. The shared pool includes Mida Mini Tool, Drang, and Haliodus, a high-impact rocket launcher that's Strand. Trials has an adaptive fusion rifle, Stasis, and Ever-Burning Glitz, a rapid-fire auto rifle. Iron Banner gets an adaptive hand cannon. Pinnacle Ops has a precision scout rifle and an aggressive submachine gun, Stasis. Solo Fireteam Ops and Crucible Ops are redacted. As for the armor and set bonuses, Solo and Fireteam Ops is Smoke Jumper Armor Suit. 2 pieces ride together, die together. When you pick up an orb of power, gain a brief period of rapidly decaying damage reduction. And the 4-piece is too old for this. Super damage causes health and shields to regenerate while you are in motion. Additional super damage refreshes this effect. There's also other suits that are redacted for Crucible Ops, Iron Banner, and the Raid. 3 dungeon layers are being added to Pinnacle Ops as you've seen in that trailer. There are Pit of Heresy, Beneath the Necropolis, Duality, Nightmare of Galron, and Warlord's Ruin, Heaven's Vengeance, so those specific encounters. For 2 weeks starting with Ashen Iron's launch, they are making all 3 of these original dungeons available to all players. Once this period ends, the dungeon layers for those 3 will remain freely available in the portal. They also mention about featured gear. They say when Renegades launches, all legendary gear from Season Reclamation, which is the Edge of Fate and Ash of Iron, will be included as part of Season Lawless featured gear. In other words, legendary gear currently with the teal featured gear background marker will continue to be marked as featured gear next season, which I guess is good. A lot of people don't like the featured gear, but your current gear will still be viable in Renegades, it looks like. Bungie is delaying the Epic Raid by 1 week. This activity will now ship on Saturday, September 27th. The highest priority is to ensure a fun, smooth experience, not only during the race, but for all players who wish to take on contest difficulty. Additionally, there seems to be new rules for this upcoming world's first race, including a list of streaming requirements. These are for verification purposes to combat cheaters and to improve the overall viewing experience for players watching streams. Streaming is required, but only 1 member of the 6 Fireteam members has to stream. The stream must be on YouTube or Twitch. The stream must be set to video on demand, so a VOD. If the team member who wants to hide portions of their screen, they must use an overlay provided by Bungie or Destiny the game, and cannot use additional overlays to block out portions of their stream, even as a joke. The team member who streams cannot black out or hide their screen or portions of their screen outside the provided overlay, and game audio must be on at all times, but players may mute their voice audio. There's a small voice acting update, so the original voice actors for characters from the Edge of Fate, their audio is going to be introduced next week. So the original voices for Ikora, Orin, and Chioma have returned with newly recorded lines for their characters. Destiny 2 is a part of Humble Bundle, so if you'd like to get the following expansions, you can check that out on their site. Yesterday, Bungie also released a big article, Sandbox Tuning Preview for Ashen Iron. The article was really long with explanations for changes, but let's summarize everything you need to know. They first start with weapon hipfire reticles. The overall reason for these changes is to make things clearer, reduce clutter, and adapt FOV and bloom. Some reticles are simplified and repositioned closer to the center. Indicators, pips, charge meters, perk states now scale with reticle size. And there's unique tweaks to specific weapons like Trinity Ghoul, Vex Mythoclast, and Lumina. They're trying to make things consistent between weapon classes like machine guns, fusion rifles, and so on. If you're interested in the specific changes, they're listed here for all the weapons, but it's basically moving UI elements around. The crosshair you look at when playing the game and its position. Bungie is completely removing deterministic recoil for all weapons except for Vigilance Wing. This is a set pattern by which a weapon shifts recoil direction when being fired. They wanted players to be able to master their individual weapons, but weapons can sometimes feel harder to control or need recoil stat help, which is why they're planning to remove this. But they believe that deterministic recoil on the Vigilance Wing serves their goals. Let's talk about weapon archetype changes. For Heavy Burst Sidearms, Forgiveness outperformed others in its class, so they're changing Forgiveness's range by 15. Aggressive submachine guns, these were nerfed too far and need help to compete with other close quarters combat options. The ADS damage falloff scaler is going from 1.4 to 1.5. Spreadshot hand cannons, you love them, they're new to the game, but it seems they're getting a nerf. Bungie says they're too effective outside of intended range and frustrating in PvP. Feel like that's kinda what shotguns are supposed to do, but yeah. Increased damage versus combatants by 8%. Added a 0.1 second delay after firing before you can melee to prevent near simultaneous damage events. Increased pellet spread angle by 5% and reduced flinch dealt to players by 30%. For sniper rifles, the ammo economy in Crucible is too punishing, so the ammo pickup in Crucible goes from 1 to 2 per brick now. For lightweight shotguns, they're outclassed by precision pellet shotguns, so their pellet spread has been decreased by 6%. And then for crossbows, they want to improve the clarity and identity of them. Crossbow bolts now have a heavy ammo raider marker visible only to the player who owns them. They updated the weapon tray icon, obituary, and kill feed to reflect the crossbow's unique silhouette. Let's talk about exotics. They say featured weapon expansion. Ashen Iron will be expanding upon the featured exotic weapon list despite what players want. They'll benefit from the artifact buff and contribute to your score with an intent to add more diversity into loadouts. They've revisited a few of these options to make things more appealing. The Mida multi-tool has been an outdated exotic and lacked modern power. There's a new trait, Mida Software Package. Getting enough kills with the weapon now provides various buffs and an incremental PvE damage bonus after reaching certain thresholds. Kills with weapons that have the Mida synergy intrinsic also grant progress toward these buffs. On death, you regress to the beginning of the previous stage, and the radar while aiming functionality has been moved to the intrinsic. There's a new catalyst, enhanced radar and reload bonuses near enemies, and movement speed has been slightly buffed with the weapon. So for the catalyst, replace no distractions with a brand new one. If you're near an enemy, you'll get enhanced radar and improved reload speed, 20 reload stat, 15% reload scaler. Sturm and Drang, I kind of forgot about these two, they've been here since Destiny 2 released. Their pairing fantasy has been underwhelming and too slow. So here are the changes: faster overcharge shot generation. Damage tuned by enemy type, 300% versus minor enemies and 75% versus players. The overcharge max has been reduced to 25, and there's a new catalyst for this one too, which gives you buffs to ready and stow speed. Ammo generation has been improved and Lucky Pants synergy added. So Lucky Pants will now buff the damage of those Sturm overcharge shots. Ammo generation from 30 to 80. Ariana's Vow gets a small VFX change to bring it in line with other special weapons. They just added a lens flare on opposing players' Ariana's Vows. For Graviton Spike, the new Edge of Fate exotic, Bungie says overcharge is too easy in Crucible. So the activation time for overcharge is going from 20 to 7 seconds, and catalyst buff timer capped at 7. For Terabah, the old zoom nerf is outdated. The damage is too high with Peacekeepers and Ravenous Beast. They increased the zoom to 16, and they reduced those Peacekeeper bonus damage when using Terabah with Ravenous Beast from 100 to 70%. They want Hawkmoon to give synergy like Sturm does, so Lucky Pants now buffs the damage of Paracausal Shot. For New Land Beyond, the perk counter was previously capped at 100 and now stacks to 999. Increased damage is still capped at 100 though. Lord of Wolves is said to be too strong in boss damage phases, so they decrease the release the wolf's damage versus bosses by 20%. For Grand Overture, it's too dominant in long boss damage phases, so the reserves are going from 58 to 48. And for the Catalyst, AoE kills now also trigger micro-missile explosions. The Queenbreaker is also getting a nerf for some reason. It says too consistent versus bosses compared to peers. So reduce damage versus bosses by 8%, and reduce the decreased charge rate via combat sites by 15%. For Outbreak Perfected, reduce damage-based Recharger Super Contribution. Slightly reduce the Nanites damage-based Recharger Super Contribution as well. For Barrow Dyad, they did the same thing on non-seekers, and reduced the damage-based Recharger Super Contribution via Taken Seekers. Hierarchy, same thing, but for guidance ring arrows. For Thunderlord, they fixed an issue with the catalyst where it was refilling more ammo than intended. And Whirling Ovation is too demanding to optimize, so they increased the rate at which anticipation builds. An optimized damage rotation utilizing this weapon should see the anticipation meter fill decrease between 10 seconds to 8. Less optimized damage rotations will see a more significant fill time decrease. Now on to weapon perks and mods, first up Burning Ambition. The enhanced version didn't reliably lower activation, so the time threshold has been reduced. Hit percent thresholds lowered, and enhanced now flat reduces hits required by 1. There is a ton of enhanced perk improvements, things like Dragonfly Cluster Bombs, Magnificent Howl, so on. These all have to do with percents and specific values. So it's on screen right now if you'd like to pause. If I read it, it'd be a minute of me just reading different percents. There's changes to explosion damage for Dragonfly. Headstone precision kills always spawn large crystals. Hatchling, there's a chance for 2 threadlings instead of 1, and others. For Temporal Blast, they say it's overperforming with explosive weapons, so no longer progresses on splash damage. Blast impulse 66%, and there's more shots required for it to trigger. Just like the featured exotics, there's also featured armor. Here's what they say about the 3 classes. For Titans, they're reworking the exotic Stronghold arms. There's a new stack-based perfect guard system. You can heal allies, exhaust enemies. Guard stacks will persist until used. Sword hits at max stacks will refill your sword energy. Restoration has been removed, replaced with heal. And Guard DR or Endurance has capped at plus 50 each. For Hunters, they're changing up Cytorachne's facade. Its survivability has been lacking while using Strand and Woven Mail, so Woven Mail now heals on enemy kills. Warlocks have changes to 2 exotics, Chromatic Fire and Controverse Hold. For Chromatic Fire, it's too subclass specific and underutilized. The detonation radius on Precision Kinetic Final Blows has increased by 36%. No longer applies keywords based on equipped super, and non-precision kinetic final blows also produce a detonation. Controverse Hold kind of failed to shine after their stat rework. So charged grenades apply weaken, and increased grenade energy returns, which varies by your grenade type. Hunters, Gamblers Dodge is getting some changes. This is to address melee spam complaints, restore Gamble identity. They rescaled the amount of melee energy generated by Gambler's Dodge from 100% at 70 stat points to 100% at 100 stat points. Dodging near an enemy now doubles this amount, and they reduced the amount of melee energy generated in PvP. Lightweight throwing knives also are getting a nerf, reduced damage versus players by 16%. You see a lot of throwing knives around, but it kind of sucks if you enjoy throwing them. And then some general ability and stat changes here at the end. Woven Mail application no longer resets duration to original source duration. Stat damage bonuses no longer increase self-damage. Melee and grenade stat damage bonuses no longer apply to melee and grenade damage done while in super. The super stat continues to increase melee and grenade damage in your super. They fixed an issue where the class stat energy benefits were not scaling smoothly between increments of 10, and corrected an issue on the upper end of mobility stat benefits which was set too low, resulting in mobility boosts like the athletic mods appearing to grant less mobility than intended. So there you have the Sandbox tuning preview for Ash and Iron. But anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for this week in Destiny. If you'd like to see some more Destiny news, lore, and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.